the. Get the ice.
Take your seat. I'm coming for you.
Two servings. And it's still
Just share the screen to that one.
Hey, Marcus, what you do?
Yes.
I asked my,
Every next time.
Zoom all day.
Okay,
what's up?
Yep.
Are you just gonna sit there and hit the buttons for me, or, okay, I didn't know if it's remote work.
no, it's just for the projector, fortunately.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you all for coming out. This is our first community center, community forum, kind of a mouthful. We have another one tomorrow, but it will be pretty much the same content. I'm Marcus Benner, I'm the recreation director here in town, and I have a little spiel on how we came to be here and what the town's been working on as far as the community center for the last 16 years, really. So we'll just go through presentation, how did we get here, what does Waldoboro need, what would this look like, and how do we get there? So how did we get here? Even before my time, I started at this position in 2017. There were numerous surveys over the years. The last one we did was in 2019. That's one that I sent out. We'll get to that in a minute. But in 2010, there were some original plans created in conjunction with the Waldoboro Rec Complex plans. That's currently on West Main Street. Pictured here. They built the ball fields, they raised money for it. It was the Medallion Community Foundation. Jim was a member of that. And they raised money and built the fields, but by the time they got done with that, they kind of ran out of steam. And the 2008 recession, I think is the word, kind of put a halt to it back then. And so I had a few conversations with the previous director about that and about kind of getting those conversations back going. And so in 2019, we sent out a survey to every resident in town and came back overwhelmingly positive in favor of the community center. And so we started working on it again. And a year later, the pandemic hit and we stopped again. Not long after the pandemic, we started up again. We kind of reached a handshake agreement with Maine Health to create kind of a health campus that included a community center as well as a health care building in town. And we were going to use the other half of the property at the Waldoboro Rec Complex. The ball field you see here is about half the property. But we had that tested and it came back as wetlands. We couldn't really build there. So again, it was kind of back to the drawing board. And then last year, Maine Health bought the old Fieldcrest building property, I guess, and tore it down. And then now they're open. They have their new facility. But we're still kind of in an agreement with them. There was some grant stuff we did together. So a portion of that property has been set aside for a community center if the town wants it. So going back to the 2019 survey, we sent it out to every mailbox in town. It was 2,480 surveys that were sent out, and we received 388 of them back, which was a return rate of 15.6%, which as far as surveys go is a really great response. Anything over 10% is considered sufficient. The survey had a lot of questions, but basically the three main ones that led us here were that 70% of the people who returned the survey believed Waldoboro needs a community center. 82% believe health, wellness, and quality recreation are important to Waldoboro. And 77% were willing to pay more in taxes and or memberships to make it a reality. So again, overwhelmingly positive in favor of the community center. So if we do need a community center, what do we need? I chose these two specific pictures because community centers come in all shapes and sizes. And it's kind of up to us and the town to decide what does Waldoboro need. So there's the CLC YMCA, not far from here. They have a lot of amenities. It's kind of a big building. They have a lot going on. And then we also have the Han Community Center. I don't know if you're familiar with that building. It's in Friendship. It has a very small basketball court. a kitchen and some bathrooms, that's about it. But it services the town, and so where does Waldoboro fit? Do we need a hunt center? Do we need a YMCA? Do we need something bigger? So we'll, go ahead, Kate. So, as kind of just mentioned, the CLC YMCA, it has a fitness center, a basketball court, a pickleball court, a multiple tennis courts, the whole back half of the building is tennis. Elevated walking track, commercial kitchen, bathrooms, locker rooms, offices, multi-purpose rooms. The whole shebang, as far as centers go in the mid coast, you know, the Camden YMCA is similar. But this is a membership run facility, so people pay memberships to go there. You know, it's an added cost. But with their cost, they get all of these amenities. The Han Community Center, on the other hand, is what I call more of a rental facility. It has the basketball court, the kitchen, the bathrooms. There's nothing there that screams, you know, membership. No one's gonna buy a membership to just have a facility that has doesn't have a fitness center or a pool or something like that, that really brings people in to pay that membership. But it does service friendship, it's used almost nonstop, it gets rented out, residents can use it for free, I believe, and then non-residents have to pay a nominal fee. So it's kind of a different way to look at it. In the same token, to go complete other end of the spectrum, Bangor has a new community center on their referendum this June, and it is for $75 million. It has, I think, 2 ice rinks and all kinds of stuff. When you're there, yes, but it has.
Just go
Yeah, just, so, all shapes and sizes is kind of the point there. So to go back to the survey, what did the survey say we needed? Did we need a HON? Did we need a CLC? It tended, you know, because we asked the questions, it tended to lean a little more towards the CLC. Our number one answer was an indoor walking, jogging track, teen activity area, group exercise, aerobics, or karate space. I just like to call this multi-purpose space. A gymnasium and on-site multi-use recreation space. So what would this look like? The plans you guys have were created in 2010 with the Waldoboro rec complex. These 2 pictures were just some renderings of what it could look like. And because we haven't got that far yet, I'm going back to these 2010 plans because it's something I have that's visual that you guys can see. The space requirements page that I gave you does not have everything that's in these plans. So the recreation committee that's been working on this for a while feel like the space requirements page is kind of what would fit our needs now. And it's pretty similar to what the plans are. There's just a few extras in the plans, like a climbing wall, the teen activity space, which was on the survey. And some other things. The space requirements plan is kind of slimmed down a little bit. These are the plans again, so like I said, there's a gymnastic space, a climbing wall here. It's kind of a walkout basement style where the gym is on the basement floor. And then the walking track is up top and then all the offices, bathrooms, multi-use spaces all up top as well. Down here is the lower level. It does have a couple meeting rooms, elevator and storage, but for the most part, the gym takes up that space. These plans were at the rec complex, which you know is on a hill, much like most of Waldoboro. So the walkout basement style kind of seemed to fit. With our new spot, it is somewhat still on a hill, but not quite as steep. So we'll see what we come up with there. As far as what those plans you guys have compared to our survey, our top 5 answers, it has 4 of them. Due to the location being at the main health campus, the outdoor multi-use space is not really an option. But it has everything else, the indoor walking track, team activity area, multi-purpose, and gym. This is the concept plan for the main health building that was submitted to our planning board. just to give you guys an idea, this space here is what has been set aside. It is very close to the space requirements size that the rec complex came up with. Not sure if we'll be able to fit it all in there, but that's the general idea.
That changed a little bit,
It might have changed a little
because that
bit.
driveway goes straight down,
Yeah.
so the area that you pointed to at the open house is about where your finger is.
Yeah, it's down at the bottom. Down here now.
Right there, yeah.
The driveway's up
Okay,
here.
the driveway goes straight across, part of concern is how headlight going, how would you stuff, so.
Yeah. But we would be able to share parking and
Yeah.
whatnot, so, but it's not the ideal location we had hoped for when we started, but every other place we've tried has failed, so, it could be a great spot. It's in town, bring people into the village. Or town, I guess, it's kind of a little out of the village, but still, it's not up at high school or anything. So how do we get there? Next time, please. So we need to come up with a plan, work together, figure out what amenities we need. Do we need the whole shebang? Do we need something small, something in the middle? Is it gonna be membership based, or is it gonna be more of a facility rental, a place that the rec department can use for daytime programming? And then rent out at night, you know, for weddings or birthdays or whatever people wanna use. And then what is feasible for Waldoboro? We may not be able to afford everything that we want. And we may want things that we don't need. But at the same time, one of our previous rec committee members, she had family in Colorado, and they put forth a plan for a community center out there, and it failed 3 times until they added in an ice rink, and then it passed. So if people want it bad enough, they'll go for it, but we'll see what Waldoboro wants and what we can do. So we need your input. That's kind of my whole spiel. That's why we're here. So I'm gonna turn it over to Kate to go on to our next part of the agenda. I get out, put on the shower.
So thank you all for coming out tonight. I know most of you are committee members, but you're still gonna get to work tonight. And if you came just to listen, well, that's not how I design my meetings. We're gonna make you work. And we thought, one of the good ways to start to answer some of the questions that Marcus and the rec committee have is to back into them, right? What do we need? What does Waldoboro need? Let's start big picture and talk about what is the purpose of a community center? What's the mission of this community center? And then once we decide on what the mission is, we can decide what should go in there. It's a little bit easier to fit. If the mission is to serve the young people of the community, then we might choose different things than if it's to serve the entire community or to serve the elderly population and get them out of their houses and socializing and provide a space for those folks. So it depends on what we want the mission to be. So I'm going to pass out a worksheet. I'll walk you through the worksheet first, and hopefully you can turn to the person next to you and talk through it with them. So not to do it by yourself, but to have conversation with the person next to you. I'm gonna make this room get really loud. And start to write a mission statement for the community center. So I asked some guiding questions. Who would benefit from the community center in Waldoboro? What current Waldoboro needs exist that a community center can help address? Some of the big questions that Marcus asked. And then I have an example mission statement from the Penobscot Bay YMCA, which is the Penn Bay YMCA is a cornerstone of our healthy community, fostering partnerships, providing programs and services, and promoting youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility to improve the quality of life for everyone. So I gave you an example of what it could be. And I gave you a template, so you don't have to come up with it on your own. Waldoboro Community Center's mission is to, what are we doing? Put it in there. By, how are we doing it? Put it in there. In order to, why are we doing it? So a mission statement walks out. What are we doing? How are we doing it? Why are we doing it? I'm not gonna give you a whole lot of time. Mission organizations and companies spend years creating mission statements. I'm giving you 15 minutes of a conversation with your neighbor, right? So do the best you can. And what we're just asking is to get some ideas in the space about who, what, and why, right? So we can just start to determine what we're putting in the center and what makes the most sense. So I'll pass these out, Marcus will pass pens out. And then turn to the person, groups of 2 or 3. If you want to write individually, you're more than welcome to, but this is a chance to talk to your neighbors.
So you've been thinking about.
Here, you can.
I guess it's not really out on the Friday. So we talked about it on. Immerse their.
Thank you.
Years ago.
This next year.
So why not? I was just gonna say. They're really going to get. They're talking. Right now. I mean, these things are extreme.
And.
We're looking at something.
Yeah, Scott.
Pause recording. So you could talk, but does anyone want to share their mission?
We got.
Hmm?
Want to share it?
Yeah.
The Waldoboro Community Center's mission is to increase social cohesion and strengthen connections between generations, friends, and neighbors by providing space, group opportunities, movement-based activities, and self-structured hangout rooms in order to build a more robust, healthy, and integrated community.
You say that again one more time slower.
Turn on the Zoom transcript.
Increase social cohesion and strengthen social connections between friends, neighbors, and between generations.
Yeah.
And then we do this by providing space, group opportunities, movement-based activities, and self-structured hangout areas. In order to build a more robust, just and robust, healthy, and integrated community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Final draft.
Good job. But Michael, you're over that side of the room and we're back here. We didn't have as many words as you. Very similar.
All right, give us
You
your.
were listening to us, right? Big items. That's the bigger words that we got.
Let me prepare something.
All right, John, what did you have?
I have a.
Where's our notes?
Okay,
There we go.
so we had a lot of conversations that kind of encompass all of that, but our time is short, so.
Short, I only gave you 15 minutes.
Waldoboro Community Center's mission is to be a welcoming center by offering opportunities to connect in order to be a healthy community.
Yeah.
And the key piece being healthy, not just physically, but mentally. Thank you.
Welcoming center in order to.
Oh, sorry. Be a welcoming center.
I think there's a word in there.
By offering opportunities to connect in order to be a healthy community, you could add both in mind and body or something like that.
Yeah.
Here's a less robust one.
Love it, love it.
We talked about all that stuff. Okay, Waldoboro Community Center's mission is to create common ground by opening large and flexible rooms in order to connect folks.
Nice.
Connection is the key thing. here.
Yes,
It is, we think a community center, that's what it is for community.
That's right.
Well, the number one thing that we kept coming up was there's no large rooms.
Yeah.
Right.
It's nice for,
Yeah.
like the Masons and the Legions, they're not huge
Yeah.
rooms. not-
And then some conversations I've had with people over the years is why does Waldoboro need another gym? And to me, a gym is just the most multi-use room there is.
Right.
Because yes, I can do all the athletic things that I need to do to keep all my kids and groups happy. But we can also host town meetings or vote or, you know, whatever else,
Outside movies inside.
outside movies inside.
It rained on.
It's just, you know, I can do all that in a gym, but if we don't have a gym and there's just like regular multi-purpose rooms, like this room, for example, we can meet, we can do a lot of things here. We can't play basketball or pickleball or, you know, anything
You
else.
can't host more than 55 people.
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and on the gym part, try to get into one of the school gyms ever is almost impossible.
Okay.
So,
In ours,
especially during the day.
a lot like theirs, but.
Yeah.
You want to hear it?
Absolutely, I do.
The Waldoboro Community Center's mission is to provide a gathering space for all ages with activities that promote mental and physical health and provide social and recreational opportunities.
I like that all ages.
Well, that's what we're trying to think. And again, I like
You got
the
gaps
hang out
there.
too, because it's just like, yeah.
What was the last?
20 to the 20 to the 30 years.
And provide social and recreational opportunities.
Just hit that go pilot button, it'll spit out the.
So I think we were all thinking.
With the average word count.
Yeah, this is, I mean, this is affirming, like, if everyone creates a similar mission, we know we have the core that's right? This is pretty easy. Any other thoughts before we move into sort of open discussion? Do you guys want to share yours?
Yeah.
Okay.
To provide an indoor space for all residents and surrounding towns by nurturing a community atmosphere and clean space in order to provide quality recreation for all ages. You read that, or you want me to say it again slowly?
No. So what were some things that came out in your discussions that you think we should hear about, or you had been thinking about and you went, aha, that's a really good idea?
One thing, and this is where just providing a space would be great, is the supervised rental visits. Because social workers bring their clients to the library for that, and it's not always the best fit for what they need. And, yeah.
I'm talking about that. Been there, done that?
Yeah, and there's other things that happen in town where. Like, they come to town office, but they don't, town office is not the best place to be because the responsible are there. And it's very structured, it's giving a place to relax and that.
Right, just not enough kids running around.
I mean, you said, your group said something about hangout space, yeah. The other thing that occurred to, well, you mentioned that if people who are 20 to 35 who don't have things to do, and it's like, what about maker spaces, like if somebody wants to just get into carpentry or like, where can you just rent a shop to like play around and stuff like that? I have one example, I mean, like, yeah, we like to like.
Well, even with the kitchen, if you wanna do
There it is.
cooking,
Yeah,
and you do some class or try something that you don't necessarily have the space to do it. You know, along the same line.
Yes, yeah, makes sense. We talked about the because that offers.
Clean, safe space.
The one thing I always keep coming back to is that in order to make it a safe place for all.
Right.
And that's critical, especially with the kids, you know, because, you know, if they come in after school or whatever. And it has to be, you know, viewed as a parent or whatever, you wanna feel comfortable with your kids coming in.
one of the other things that keeps bouncing
It
around my
was
head.
old folks too.
That's what I'm getting to. And for those older, like myself, walking in this town is scary. I mean, it's uphill or down. It's not the greatest. If we have a place for people to exercise, and it doesn't have to be massive, just a walking track would make so much sense and it would get used. It also could be used in the weather that we get here in the winter. They could use it. It would offer so much to the other end. Because we kind of take care of the rec department, the young kids. That's what
We do all ages.
Yeah.
So
we
short.
We don't have much for the upper.
And to have a room where older people can just hang
sit down.
out, right,
Yes.
and be with other
You
people.
can say elderly.
No, I was going to use senior.
I think that's one of the things
Majority.
that we talked about that kind of was. For a variety of us was like, oh yeah, we do have a community who's very into sports. But we also have this whole part of our community that is so much more than about sports opportunities or whatever, and needing a space where those people can get out of their homes and get together and have, not saying that it's not recreation or sports involved in there too, but these kind of open spaces that we all talked about are so important for people to be able to get together and just, like we said, the healthy community, just not only our physical health, but the importance of the mental health. So somebody who maybe is at home as a single person, feeling like they don't have anywhere to go where they can meet people that isn't like at a restaurant or whatever. Maybe they want to go, John mentioned knitting, or like cribbage, or, things like that, just where people can get
Anything to
together.
do during our 6 months of winter.
Yeah, yeah.
The one thing I was saying that was important for me as well, because I have small children and myself and then my parents, it would be nice to have that multi-generational, that's what we were saying, so that we could all kind of be in the same space together. I can do my thing, my kids could be, kind of doing theirs, and it's safe and I can monitor them. Be babysat by the rec, but that would be really important, and then that also bleeds over into the social kind of development that would occur if teenagers are in the same space as, older people and younger people, and it just has that, really building that community, but also just that development of their own understanding of what it means to be in a community and how to interact with people respectfully and safely, and so that to me is a really big draw.
There's two different ways to set up a community center that way. The plans you have them separate. There's like a teen center and a senior center, and that's kind of how Wiscasset Rec is set up.
Yes.
And then I've talked to other people that have community centers, and they're like, no, we didn't do that because we wanted the teens to interact with the seniors and it to kind of be that community thing that we're talking about. We didn't want to segregate people.
Yeah, so that some of us can just enter separate the kids because of concerns between the adults and the kids' interaction. But I do agree that in reality, to me, it's more important to know which one is the quiet room, which one is the room where I'm
Yes.
to talk with people,
Yeah.
which one is the room where people want to be dancing or whatever. To me, it's more
Yes.
sound level than.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
The other conversation we have is the example that was shown where every single time, and no offense, but the gym is a center and it happened that there are things around the gym. Versus we felt that here it was more about all the activities are as important, and I understand that basketball court will take more space, but it's how do we present it as it's not a sports center that happens to have other spaces, but it's a community center that happens to have some sports.
That's a good point. That's a selling point too. Like that, I bet you, I hate to say, tell you this, Marky, but I bet you less than 50% of people that actually play basketball.
Yeah, gym's not just about basketball. It's the most multi-use space. We use the Baptist church for pickleball, and we can only do it 2 days a week because they have other things going on in there. If we had our own community center, we could run it 5 days a week for a certain section, and then we could do
Adult volleyball.
adult volleyball,
Right.
anything.
I'm waiting for that.
Wait, they have it in Warren, it's in Warren. Tuesday nights at 7. We can.
Oh God, don't tell my husband that, please.
Here's my question to the group, and I'm sure this has been tossed around for years, but what are the fancy amenities that are too specific and too high in maintenance costs? Like, what are the things that should be taken by the private sector? Like, eventually, like, somebody wants to build a bigger gym with fancier equipment, like, that should be a private sector thing versus the town investment. Obviously, it sounds like the pool is way off the table. It's too high maintenance. Why do we pay for that?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because we're in a weird spot where the closest one is Wiscasset and Camden, so we get a lot of requests for it. But pools are super expensive to build and way more expensive to maintain.
Yeah.
And we just, unless we get some private down there that's willing to put the bill for years to come. Yeah, for years to come.
Yeah, the maintenance is great. So pools off the table, but are there other amenities that have a relatively high like maintenance? Components that are iffy in terms of investment, or I just wanna know, like, in terms of what are we considering as luxury and what are we considering as like essential?
So, I mean, not to dominate the conversation, but the difference between the CLC and the Han, the one major thing they have is like a fitness center. So there's like a lot of equipment and maintenance that goes into that. We already have a fitness center here in town.
Yeah.
So do we, I don't wanna take business away from them either, but at the same time, we're definitely not having a pool. If we don't have a fitness center, then we kind of already made what's the draw outside of, it's a rental facility and we run programming out of there and there's like a space for people to come and use. There's not gonna be any way to ask for memberships.
And gym equipment is not like crazy for ongoing maintenance.
Probably not, the weights would be fine, the treadmills and stuff like that, and
Breakdown.
be finicky.
Yeah. And you're talking more than they get full-time employees that work in the building for space. Right, yeah, I don't think at this point we can afford to say we're gonna put a full-time employee working in the building. Assuming the rector about it.
Yeah, so that's the other thing, and
That's always, you're gonna have to.
I'm almost never in. There's gonna have, even if it's a rental facility, there's gonna be some type of
Supervision. or
maintenance costs.
Yeah.
Well,
Group classes. I think are quite attractive, and I just wonder whether you can, think along the lines of what is needed supplies wise to run group classes. Because everyone's gonna have their like gym, itinerary that might be different from someone else's. So, oh, you don't have that machine, all right, fine, I'm gonna go work out at this place. But if you're going because you wanna take a class by this person, in aerobics or in weight training, then figuring out what is needed for that class for a general audience to occur might be in a more attractive way of looking at it, because it also then leans into our group vision rather than like individual driven. That's really about bringing people together. So you could lean into that in terms of, well, we have weights, we have enough weights to do these group classes, but we have yoga mats, we have enough to do the, you know what I'm saying? So you have exercise, but in a much more active group move, oriented way.
well, we had also talked, I mentioned an argument that there might be an opportunity to dovetail into the needs of the medical arts building.
Right.
With physical therapy, occupational therapy, and have that, if it's not a huge gym or whatever, but you have the ability to use that. Because they're not gonna have it in the building. So where the patients go?
Right, can you partner with Maine Health on some of these initiatives for funds and say like, look, can you help pay for group exercise classes and physical therapy rooms and stuff like that?
Yeah, like what assets need to be purchased?
Yeah.
Cost sharing.
That was in the conversation at one point. With the medical art building and the community center kind of working together as a.
Right.
Unite.
And it still can't, certainly can be revisited. Without a doubt.
It should be if you're gonna be on that site. Although, is there a question still about the site? Is that?
Yeah, especially when they move the road, the space was already like minimum and tight, and we gotta kind of see what's left there. But
There's a lot of ledge.
still the front runner
for location, let's say.
And working at the library, one of the things we get requested for a lot is space. I think we just need lots of things. When we have a meeting in your building, well, and I mean, we hear that all the time. And they ask us, where can we go? And there really aren't a lot of options.
Try to get into the town office meeting.
Yes.
And that, and then the other thing is like parents who have little kids. I remember when my kids were little and you could go to the Y for like $1 and they could play for the morning on whatever they had out for playing.
Right.
And again, parents sometimes, especially from the village apartments, walking with the kids are too small to really play in the deep snow. They come to the library to play. It's like they really need bigger, better space for running around. So it's just space,
Yes.
I think is what we need.
The other thing, we talk a lot about the athletics and all those sports things, but the crafts could be done very simply. I mean, we could have somebody come in and show painting, come in to do, somebody said knitting, it's there. Well, then all those things are possibilities, just to have a room to do it in and say, hey, we're gonna do it this day. And find out.
Well, and you've got the Five Towns, adult ed that does classes at Madomic. And, you know, they might be looking for
Find those organizations.
other spaces.
I think that's where also the season organized makes a difference, because I see that when it is the YMCA, then you're a member of the YMCA, and then they offer the class, and so now they need to have staff to actually find people and organize the calendar, and blah, blah, blah. Versus if it's a true community center, I think it should be much more collaborative, where I'm the yoga instructor, I'm going to give a class, you are not going to pay the community center, you're going to pay me, and maybe I pay to rent the room. But in this way, you create a calendar where each individual provider is actually offering that, so it's truly a community-based organization rather than the community center is offering you X, Y, and Z. Because I think that makes it a very different dynamic. As much as we have talked here of why we need it, which was first to say we need it because there is a community here, and so it's to service the people who are around here. We didn't need to go to the restaurant and or to Camden to do those kind of stuff. At the same time, I think that if we offer stuff that is actually valuable and that is not offered somewhere else, someone who works in Camden and living in Wisconsin is going to stop in Waldoboro, still a very easy connecting point. So there are maybe some amenities that would actually make people interested to come. If we are talking about physical activities, how expensive is it to have a climbing wall? Where can you go climbing?
Camden.
Camden is there.
They have a climbing wall there.
I think they were-
Lie down, you know, they took it out, they put in something else, they took it out. But those, I don't know what it is, but there's an insurance thing with that because.
They are.
Yeah,
And staff.
and staff, and you've got to have training and you have to have, and the equipment is not cheap. I built the one down the line there, so.
Yeah.
You built it.
But wait, there is one, you said they closed it.
They tore it right out and they put another building in and they changed the whole.
But that's an example of an amenity which is a little expensive, but not as expensive as a pool.
No, it is.
That would actually draw people here.
True,
And I think that what you
because people have to go to Camden to do it. There's nothing else.
Talking about in general for makerspace, there is no makerspace on.
No, there isn't.
And so I think that would attract a lot of people. There is actually a lot of demand. And the benefit also is that if you create a makerspace, you could actually also have studio that people rent, and which means that you also have people for in your building on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So that actually create a community because you know you're not coming, it's not going to be an empty hall. You're going to always have people there.
Also, I think a makerspace like that, you would attract volunteers to run it. I think there's a lot of people who live here looking to volunteer, to be involved in a robust way. Maybe using skills and experiences that they've had at other times and places in their life. And that's a great volunteer job. I mean, you really are not just sitting in a place, you're helping, making sure that the room is stocked, you know, that someone's just, oh, I need this, oh, I can help you get that. So that probably would bring generations together too, because it probably could be an older person who's staffing that.
And then the truck yard will tell you watching useful cell phones.
Lessons on it. But it's there, people wanna share their talent and their artistic ability, things, I mean, we've got artists all around here. That may be willing to share that with us, and I think that'd be easy to set up.
I mean, there'll be plenty of conflicts in that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
How noisy is it? Is sawdust allowed? I'm painting on a 6 foot by 6 foot canvas. How much space can I take up for how long?
Yep.
But those are all solvable, right? Sure. Problems, right? And that's like,
Even just a basic arts and crafts room. That
Exactly.
would be easy to start, I think.
It's a controversial.
I don't have the plans in front of me, but I think we had like 3 or 4 multi-purpose rooms on there, so. Yeah, not even those plans, just the space requirement.
Yeah, I know, I was thinking.
And so that's, you know, you just take one of those multi-purpose rooms out and make it dedicated to maker space.
Sure.
And so it doesn't add any space, it just,
And I think that on top of that, when you talk about the makerspace, we also talk about people cannot buy the equipment to do some of their craft, and I think that we still are in a community with the community problems. So I think if you can share the equipment, you could actually have also a library of tools and stuff like that, which again, reinforce the idea of community and as and support the economic problems that you have.
Yeah, I think you get donations of materials, and more donations of materials, and I think you get more monetary donations to fund the materials. If it was going to a community center.
but if your point about like a tool library, I'm sure a lot of people would step up and supply that as well. It's of course like a liability thing and like.
There is one,
But-
Portland, if people in Portland don't know how to use a mower, can do it, we can do it.
All right, I'm looking at the time and it's 7 o'clock. And we've all had long days. And we've had a really robust discussion. And I appreciate your coming with your ideas and being willing to engage in the activities that I make you do. If we're doing this again tomorrow at 1 o'clock at the town office. So I know some of the committee members will be there for round 2. You're all welcome to come back. It'll be exactly what we did today. But you can, if you really want to get your ideas in there and whisper around, you're welcome to come back for round 2 tomorrow. But thank you so much. And if other ideas pop up or you go, oh, this would be a great idea, they should talk to this person about the community center. You can email me, you can email Marcus at the town, planning@waldoboro.org and
rec@waldoboro.
and we will, any ideas you have or people we should be talking to, things we should be thinking about, I'd love to hear it all. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, thank you for hosting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes,
Michael.
thank you.
You should use this space for activities such as.
Oh,
Thank you, Kate.
Everybody collect.
before everybody leaves. John just had a good point that it might be good for people to know who the rec committee is.